Hello and welcome to an album a day, day 53, going through my vinyl collection, doing 2 albums today by a band that until recently didn't even know existed. My good friend Peter Gardot was kind enough to send me a box of records earlier, well I guess it was last year because it's 2025 now, and did a nice walkthrough of those, completely out of my mind with sleep deprivation, working on a huge project, but I was like, I couldn't go to bed until I knew what was in the box. So did kind of an unboxing, but at that point, I mean, I could barely even see. So I'll be going through all those albums in this series, which will be much better because I am, well, reasonably coherent. So the first, well, both the albums are by a band called NRBQ, which I have never heard of. Didn't know what to expect, but Peter was kind enough to send me 2 albums. The first one is this, simply titled NRBQ. And this album originally came out in 1969. I am unable to identify the particular year of the release of this version. I found many under different Columbia labels, but the only one that I could find with this specific label did not have a corresponding year. So whoever uploaded that information was unaware of what year it came out. I'm not able to find anything definitive on the record or on the jacket to show me what the actual release of this particular version is. But you know, it's an interesting cover. Shows you a little bit about the band. Doesn't really tell you who's who, so you kind of have to know, or I guess now you could research it, but back then you couldn't. Also, this might have been like a club or a discount deal because it's got the hole punch in it. I wouldn't be surprised if Peter owns a hole punch or 2. And then on the back, you've got some nice writing, you know, just a little bit talking about the band in quotes and stuff here, a little bit about their history. So I put it on last night. Now, both of these records are a little bit scratched up, so I wasn't able to listen in full to all of the tracks. Some just got in that, I don't know what they call it, like a groove loop or whatever, where it just kind of like plays a little bit and goes back and plays a little bit and goes back and plays a little bit. So I wasn't able to hear everything on the record, but I heard a good majority of it. I would say a good 85%. And at first I was like, I don't know whether to take them seriously or whether they're a comedy act. I'm going with comedy act because the lyrics are hilarious, absolutely hilarious. The music is good. It's really different. It has that late 60s sound and vibe to it, but they've got all kinds of instrumentation, some really cool grooves and stuff. So it's a good album. If you want something lighthearted, non-serious, just good fun songwriting and performance, I would say check these guys out. The second album, this is called Kick Me Hard, and this came out in 1978, and the version that I have is a 1978 version. Boom! There it is, Kick Me Hard. This is sort of that classic, you know, the kick me sign that people would put on the back of people. And then for some reason, people would listen and go, oh, I'm sure he put that sign on his upper back, because that's really easy to do. He must want me to kick him. And then they would get kicked. Really weird rituals that we've had over our history. But this isn't a history class. This is all about, you know, music. So I love the label. This is the only record I have on this label. I've never seen or heard of this label until this album, Red Rooster. I like the yellow against the red. That's kind of cool, kind of a mustard and ketchup thing. But it's really vibrant, and I like that. And then it's also issued by Rounder Records, so there are 2 completely separate record numbers. But this is a 1969 copy, also a little scratched up, but I was able to listen again to the majority of it. I'd say about 85%. I would say that I like this one better. Here on the back, we have, again, the band and track listing, so there's no history, no quotes or anything like that. A little bit of gum holding this note up. I kind of like that old school, you know, you feel like this is a classroom kind of thing. Pretty neat. I love the expression on this guy's face. It's like he knows he's going to get kicked and he can do absolutely nothing about it because he can't reach that sign on his back. But again, really cool album, lots of fun. These guys are highly enjoyable, really just lighthearted, and you know, sometimes you want something that's deeply emotional. Sometimes you want something heavy. Sometimes you want something that's got just a good drive to it. Sometimes you want something that's romantic. Sometimes you want something uplifting. And sometimes you just want to break from all of it. And this is the band for you. NRBQ, check them out. Peter said they've got a Christmas album, so I'm going to have to look into that. I think interesting stuff. Didn't know what to expect, but really grateful I got exposed to them. Thanks, Peter. We'll be back to some of your albums throughout the course of this series. You guys have a wonderful midweek. Side note. So, I forgot. Pete sent me a note with this. 6/29/2024. So that's when he sent this out. Let's see. Scott, here are 2 records, duplicates, to start your NRBQ collection. Enjoy. Kick Me Hard is better. Peter. I would agree. I liked both albums, but I think Kick Me Hard, I think they found themselves a little more. I feel like the first one was like, here's what we want to do. Let's try it and see what we get. And they got some good results. But I feel like, 9 years goes by, and by the time they get to Kick Me Hard, I think they've got it down to a science. Really cool stuff. So anyway, side note, my newest album, Mental Sauna 6 Warm Chill, dropped a little bit earlier than I expected. I don't pay for an upgraded service that allows me to control the release date. I just kind of put it out there when I think it's going to take 2-3 days or whatever. And this was actually a little quicker to get onto iTunes and Amazon. Amazon usually takes like an extra 2 weeks. But for some reason it got on Amazon really quick. Links are on my website at scotthaskin.com. Also, the first episode of my new podcast, Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast, has dropped. This was a feeder episode to get all the links working, because some of them, like Apple Podcasts, for example, you cannot submit the podcast in full. You can submit it, but you can't publish it to the feed until you've already had an episode air from your main host. So I had to wait for that, which was yesterday. And then I was able to hook up the Apple Podcasts, and it is now live on Apple Podcasts as well as a bunch of other places. I'm sure some of them may take a couple of additional days, but they'll be on there within a few days. But as always with all of my shows, you can go right to my website and stream them right from the website. For each podcast, I have a player that has the most recent episodes. And if you go into that album page or that, if it's like my interview page or whatever, all the links for everything are right there. You can stream them right off the website. So that makes it nice and easy, or wherever you're subscribed to, it's bound to show up there. Amazon has a podcast thing. I think that takes a couple days. Like I said, Apple Podcasts is already there, Deezer, iHeartRadio, all those. It should be live on iHeartRadio now too. But anyway, NRBQ guys, thank you, Peter. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.